Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to watch today's video. Always happy to have you guys around. We're going to be talking about how long you need to wait before you set the hook, or how long you need to let the fish run with your bait before you set the hook, because this has a lot to do with actually turning a bite into a landed fish in terms of the time frame that it takes to set the hook and the hesitation or not having the hesitation. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, just a quick invitation, 2 quick housekeeping tips. I just want to invite you guys to please swing by the SolarBat website that I put in the link in the description here. They've got my RB2 and RB3 series, SolarBat series sunglasses at a 50% off all through the month of December. So just got a few more days left in that sale. Again, link in the description. And also, if you're looking for some good Christmas gift ideas at the last moment, please check out my Tackle Warehouse link in the description too. They got a bunch of good stuff for you guys to get stocked up on tackle or get you some presents. So much appreciated there. Okay, this is something that I've learned the hard way when you're talking about, how long to wait before you set the hook on a lure. And we're going to sort of go into this a little bit based upon several different factors. Mainly it has to do with the lure category that you're fishing. Now let's talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about slow baits and moving baits. The hook sets are completely different on it as far as the time frame, because on a slow bait, you're actually having to set the hook to penetrate a stationary, basically a stationary lure into a fish's mouth. So that requires a different approach. And then on a reaction bait, like a crankbait or a spinner bait, a lot of times the fish are going to hook the fish are going to hook themselves, because that lure is actually moving when they hit it, but you still have to set the hook and decide when you want to set the hook. Here is the problem that a lot of people make. Excuse me. A lot of people make the mistake of setting the hook way too soon and way too quick, regardless if it's a moving bait or a slow bait. And a lot of this has to do because they're not prepared for the strike. Here is what I have seen in my own fishing and other people around me. It's like a lot of times you're fishing out there, and most people aren't getting a lot of bites fishing. It's like if you're getting a lot of bites fishing, that's a rare day on the water. Most of the time it's a struggle to get bit bass fishing a little bit. So a lot of people, they're doing a lot more casting than they are setting the hook. So after you've went for an hour or two without a fish or without a bite, when you get a bite, the natural instinct is you're like a live nerve ending, and you just set the hook immediately, and you set the hook hard because you're not prepared for it. First thing you need to do is discipline yourself to expect a strike every single cast. If you're expecting a strike every single cast, you can control how soon or how long that you let the fish run with the lure before you set the hook. Now, let's talk a little bit about slow baits as far as how long you want to wait. I am a big advocate of waiting a long time before you set the hook on a slow bait, because a lot of people say, well, oh, there's a bite, I'm going to set the hook, I better set the hook real quick or he's going to spit it out. That's not true. If you get bit by any bass over 2 pounds, most of the time they'll swim 50 feet with it before they let go with it, and then a lot of times they'll swallow the bait. They won't even spit it out, they'll just swallow it. So when you get a bite, like on worm or jig or creature bait, don't get in a big hurry. It's like, you're working the bait like this, and all of a sudden you go, oh, there's a bite, and you see your line swimming out with it, and it's a fish on there. Just take your time. It's like, let that fish move 4, 5, 6 feet, and then reel down and tighten the line up and slowly pull into it like that. Don't get in a big hurry. It's like when you get a bite, you don't have to drop the rod and set the hook immediately. You're going to lose them more than not. So take your time. My rule of thumb is I let those fish swim several feet, at least 3 or 4 feet, a lot of times 5 to 10 feet before I set the hook, because sometimes they grab a hold of the trailer. Sometimes they grab a hold of the end of the worm or the creature bait. Let them have it. Let them swim with it before you set the hook. Now, on the moving baits, like a crankbait or a spinner bait or a chatter bait or something you're reeling through the water column like that, you don't really have the same option of detecting a strike and letting the fish swim with it before you set the hook. So it's a little bit more difficult as far as how long before you wait to set the hook on a moving bait. in general, it's like the same thing. It's like you're reeling your bait, your crankbait through the water, and you're expecting a bite. It's like when you get a bite and you know that is a bite, don't set the hook immediately on it. Just like tighten the line up again and reel into the fish, and just keep pulling into the fish and reel into it. Don't like, think, oh, there's a bite, and set the hook real hard like that. A lot of times you're going to jerk that, bait away from the fish, or, it's barely going to get hooked in the roof of the mouth. So best advice I can give you guys on both of them is don't get in a big hurry to set the hook. And also don't actually set the hook. Just reel into the fish and pull at the same time. And if you do that, if you hesitate, take your time, expect the strike, use the right rod action that's not too stiff, it's going to add up to a lot more fish in the boat for you guys. So hope it helps out. We'll talk later.